Hey, 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 take two. Happy Saturday, everyone. It's been a while, and that's because I've been swamped with work, and I'm coming on live today to talk about why masking your emotional pain and trauma is detrimental to your emotional health and um and as well as mental health. Thank you so much for joining. Share it with anyone that you know may need this. And I'm doing this because we sometimes don't realize how, when we develop these coping mechanisms to try and help us, shove off this pain into the background to help us prevent ourselves from really dealing with the issues, to prevent us from really not worrying about stuff, but we're actually worrying about it. And our body begins to hold on to the pain, to the emotions, to everything that we're struggling with. Then our emotional and mental health begin to deteriorate. And we're not realizing how much effect that is, not just on us, but everyone that's around us. And you have to realize that when you've gone through things from a childhood stage and it keeps going on into the adult stage and nothing is being done about it, then every area of your life eventually will become affected in a way. Hi, Bimbola, I see you. Hi, Gania, I see you. You will discover how later on things are just getting repeated. And it's not because of anyone, because it's just because there is nothing about this aspect of our lives that is being taught to us. And because we're not being taught this aspect of our life, we've been taught everything on the external. We tend to focus more on the external than the internal. That is really what manifests on the external when we're not sure of who we are, and where we're lost in our own journey, and we're not able to really handle our emotions or our mental health. And we begin to just feel like we're in a zone, and we don't even understand what's going on in our own life. And that's when we start to mask these things or pacify ourselves with external things like sex, like drinking, like shopping, like eating. And it's very vital to know where those things are coming from, so that when you start addressing those little issues that are internal, you will begin to work on the external, realizing that you are the owner of this journey. You are the owner of this life. And if you're not taking care of the internal, nothing will manifest on the external. And the external is just a fad or a camouflage that's not really working out for you. And you really have to understand that the healing journey is not, hi Jared, I see you. The healing journey is not easy, but it's very doable. And the moment you realize that it's not about what people will think, say, or do, it's about how you are manifesting and showing up in your own life and how things are working out for you, then you will forget about everybody else and you will tune into you. So that as you're tuning into you, you're no longer masking the pain, but you're allowing yourself to learn from the pain. You're allowing yourself to gain the conscious awakening about what this pain is teaching you about yourself. And those parts of you that you're yet to connect to become visible to you, and you're really able to start mastering your own life. How do we get to the stage where this is now things that we're masking? We develop these coping mechanisms that are either taught to us as children or that we learn to use as adults. And that is where fear and ego and resentment and bitterness begin to reside in our own bodies. And your body starts to react to as triggers. When you get triggered, your body starts to react, and you begin to, to manifest outward those anger, the fear, and the worry, and the anxiety, and the panic. But there's a way to begin to learn to stop those, so that you're not masking, but you're really addressing and you're surrendering what you can't control and focusing on the things that you can control. And I'm going to start from a childhood experience as an example so that you can really get it, because sometimes when we speak theoretically, you may not get it. And for me, as a realist, I really want to connect with you in a way where you're really learning the deep things that you need to learn, and not the surface things, because the surface is what we usually mask. But the deeper things are still there. No matter how much we try to fake it or cover it up, those things are still there and they still hurt us in a way where we're still in that zone where we're not growing or learning about ourselves or even learning to master ourselves. So let's start from childhood experience. We all go through that phase in our journey where, as a child, fear may have been instilled on you. You can't do this, you can't do that. Or you may even have been, you may have been yelled at as a child. You may have been told you're not good enough as a child. You may have been told you can't succeed as a child. And those words, when they start to sink in into you, your body starts to hold those as a valid, but those are not valid. That's a way of you being invalidated. You've been validated by God when you were created. And what we tend to do with those words when we hear them over and over again is to say, you know what? I don't care. So when you say, I don't care, or it's not going to bother me, you shove it down underneath the rug and you're not really addressing it at that point. And then when somebody says it to you in your adult life, you get triggered and anger begins to come out. And you did not realize that your body was holding on to those things right from when you were a child. And that has also shifted your esteem. That has also shifted your confidence. That has also created the fear of you feeling that you will never be good enough. That has also created the fear of you looking for somebody that will make you be good enough. That has also allowed you to start seeking everything outside of yourself, but not really going within to say, what does this mean to me when people say these things? And how am I really seeing myself in that instance? And when you allow that to go on and on, from childhood into adulthood, the way it begins to manifest in adulthood is to start looking for a partner who will make you feel good enough, or who will make you feel complete, or who will make you feel whole. And that never really happens. We just discover you're going from one relationship to another relationship because you're trying to look for somebody on the external to validate that fact that you're already valid, that you're already enough, that every morning when you wake up, it's a sign that you're good enough. But because you've heard those words repeated over and over as a child that made you feel rejected, that made you feel abandoned, you're running to another person on the external to try and get that validation. But reality is that the validation is within you already, and you have to tap into it by saying, what is it about myself that I don't know yet, that I need to connect to make me realize that I am already good enough the way God created me? And until we come into ourselves by surrendering to the fact that we don't know our true selves, right? That we may have been lost in our journey and we need to come back home to ourselves and realign with our core and realign with our true self and really begin to gain the conscious awakening of who we are, we will continue to seek for that validation on the external. Let me go find somebody who will make me good enough. Let me go look for a partner who will complete me. Let me go look for a partner who will make me feel loved because I've been made to feel unloved right from childhood. And even though I'm not consciously aware that I'm doing that, then I'm getting into places where I'm getting hurt. And when I get hurt again, I will mask that pain. I will cover it up. I will shove it underneath the rug and still go look for somebody else again and project